Everybody's ready?
Okay, excited to be back. Good to see you all in person. Good to be back to a normal press conference, and really excited about the first week. First opportunity to get going. Home game with Louisiana Monroe. Look forward to seeing Terry Bowden. As I said in my tweet, my condolences to Terry and to the entire Bowden family. I had the pleasure of working at Florida State for 3 years and walked by Coach Bowden every day. Of course, it was a bronze statue of him in front of our building, but walk past that statue every day. And if you're a coach or if you've been around this business, you have nothing but respect for Bobby Bowden, the Bowden family, what he's done. And it was an honor for me to coach there for 3 years and walk past that statue. So looking forward to seeing Terry. He has a great staff. Obviously, Rich Rodriguez being his offensive coordinator, and Zach Alley, his defensive coordinator, guys that have been around. Very, very good coordinators. So obviously, it's going to be a much improved football team, and we're excited about us getting back on the field. Really excited to have the stadium at full capacity. So thank you to the fans that already bought tickets and that you're gonna buy tickets and pack that stadium. And we're really excited to get going. New offensive coordinator for us. It'll be our first, obviously first true test. We've had some scrimmages, but to get out there and play a full game under a new system, it's exciting for all of us. Of course, defensively, expectations are high. We pride ourselves on continuing to play great defense, and we challenge our players to do that. So really just, like we always say, game one, everybody's anxious. It's always a long off season, through the winter, through spring, players busting their tail all summer. So everybody's excited to get back out there. So, we're really can't wait to get going. I know there's been a few headlines this summer, and as you know, we pride ourselves on having a disciplined football team, and we've done things as well as we can for a long time, and we'll continue to do that. We'll continue to do things right and have discipline on our football team. You know how Mitch Barnhart is and Dr. Capilouto. They do things extremely, very disciplined, and I appreciate them and appreciate their support. And I appreciate the university and the way they went through a thorough investigation and cleared our players, and the way they went about it, gave them a fair process. I greatly appreciate them. If I had any evidence whatsoever that our players are doing something that needs to be addressed, we have no problem with addressing that and disciplining our players. So we'll continue to evaluate that process and see how it plays out. We've been patient. Our players have been patient. And you have to trust the system. That gets hard. Our players have been out a long time. They missed probably 13 weeks, 14 weeks of time on the field right now with this situation. So I have to believe in the system. During the summer, we brought in a speaker, Denny Butler, who spent time, exonerating wrongfully convicted people, and Edwin Chandler, who spent time on death row, was in there with us and talked to our team. It was very powerful. Really appreciate Chief Weathers, Chief Monroe. They were there as well, and very supportive and very comforting to our players that know it's not always personal. There's flaws in the system at times, and we have to trust that system, and we will. But I also stand by our players until I have the evidence that tells me otherwise. So I hope to have all the players out there, but I don't know. That's out of my hands. I mean, we'll see what happens. We'll go from there. Questions?
Coach, what is the most important message you want to get across to your players as you prepare for this Saturday?
Well, there's many things that we need to discuss as far as the biggest thing is early in the season, players want to do too much. They want the, every play's a touchdown, every play is a stop or a sack or whatever, and you fundamentally sometimes lose sight of things. And I was at my son's first game, and I noticed that, with the high school, it's the same way. You want the end result right now. And it was interesting. It just brought that to my attention right there, that it's truly about fundamentally, doing the things necessary to take care of your responsibility. Players always want to do too much too early, and that could be a problem. So it's truly one play at a time. Work on all the things we've worked on fundamentally, and trust your teammates and execute. It takes all 11 on every play, and sometimes early on it's not for a lack of want to, but you just have to be very disciplined to do the things necessary and count and trust on the people next to you to do their job. So it's, I always talk about primary, secondary. I always look at the linemen early. It's like they all want to do what they, go make the big play, but you got to take care of your primary responsibility first, and then go make plays.
Mark, you were talking about wrongfully convicted people and examples there. Are you confident enough to bring any of those guys back at this point?
I got to be careful in how I say it. I want to. I want to, but we'll see.
You talked about the discovery situation. Thing happened back in March. So I guess from a legal position, the judicial system, what comes first, the recovery of the grand jury? Anyone superseding?
Well, Lonnie, you asked me a question last week that I thought about afterwards as well, and it's hard for me. I have to, I have to respect the system, and I do. I completely trust our prosecutors. I completely trust our chief. They're not responsible for the investigation. So. I mean, this went on March, I want to say March 3rd, Tom?
Early March, the first week of March.
March 3rd, so I don't know. I mean, it's hard. Again, I got to bite my tongue. I just know what's been done to our players. I'm not sure what's been done to others.
Mark, I guess I don't think anybody's gonna walk over without asking about COVID somehow a little bit. What, you have any updated vaccination thresholds or anything, where you guys are?
We're past the threshold. Yeah. We're past 85%.
Was that pretty easy to come by? Did you guys kind of start buying in, or was there a point that they started buying into that?
They wanted to do it. I wasn't sitting there selling it. I was giving them information and being factual with information and having experts talk about it and things of that nature. And guys want to play. They want to play football.
Mark, you talk about unveiling a new offensive excitement. Will you guys script several plays to start the game, or are you going to favor of doing that?
We have scripted in the past, so I'm all for what Liam wants to do, so as a defensive play caller for a lot of years, I've done things many different ways, and I'll trust what he wants to do. But yes, there will definitely be some thoughts, and exactly, some of it depends on down and distance and things of that nature, but there'll be some things scripted, yeah.
Mark, given the fact that you played 10 conference games last year plus the bowl, toughest schedule in the history of UK football, how does that help you coming into this year, if at all?
Well, I'm not sure. As I tell you, every year is different. It's hard to go back to last year. We've been well documented. We're past it. It's tough. I mean, it's a little different opening up on the road at Auburn, than opening up at home is good with a non-SEC school.
Mark, when we talk to the players, they're all ready to go. They have been for the past couple of weeks, and yet coaches always need more time. You can always prepare more. What signs and signals of your team show you that they're ready to go?
I just like the way they've been approaching the entire camp, really focusing on the day and the process and trying to get better each and every day. Again, I know that's boring, but you can't have that end result. You know, it's just like a game. Like I said, it's just like my son's game. I could just see it in them. You know, maybe we're supposed to win, but it's got to be this to this automatically. No, it's one play, one possession at a time. Everybody wants to get ahead of themselves, and we can't get ahead of ourselves. You know, we got a week of preparation, and then it'll truly be one play at a time. I know, again, that's boring, but that's the truth. You know, it's just the truth.
Mark, in a game where you have a favorite such as the opening game, there's a couple schools you thought, at least in my opinion, is that sometimes that you come out and you play just bland, for lack of a better word, bland game, so to speak. You just throw it all out there, you give Missouri something to think about, have to work on. How do you approach that?
Well, I don't think there'll be enough plays to run everything that we have, so it's a little bit of both there. You know, the game is a fundamental game. There's plays that they know we're gonna run. For us, it's a bigger challenge. You know, with Rich Rod, being around for a while, being out last year, you're unsure which way to go. His son Red is a heck of a football player, knows his system, but Rich can go a lot of different ways. We have to look at, we go all the way back and watch Arizona. We watched Ole Miss. We watched things that have hurt us that we think Rich can easily morph into. So we've had to do a lot of preparation for that. The same thing with their defense coordinator. He comes from Boise, but he has a strong Clemson background and hired guys from Clemson. So, we have to look at a lot of Clemson as well. So there's, a few more unknowns for us to look at. So we're, really concentrating on ourselves, but we're obviously every game is super important. We're not leaving anything in the bag. We're gonna do whatever we have to do in every game to go win the game. But obviously we have a lot of different change-ups, as you take place throughout the year.
Well,
Did you
think
talk
it's
about the
interesting.
emergence of Eli Cox, is what he's done to put himself in this
Yeah,
position?
Eli just is, he kind of personifies what we like to be here in our program. He's one of those guys that just develops and just works and just gets better every day. And you gotta love and respect that. He's extremely smart. He's very strong. He'll do anything we ask him to do, and he works at it. And so he's a great teammate and getting better.
Mark, you have an update on where Dallas is and his recovery?
Where what?
DeKalb, where he is kind of his recovery?
He's not out there at all right now, so he's still, give you an update week to week, but definitely out right now.
We had that depth chart shake up there last night with Chauncey and Marcus. What is the Marcus shown to?
We're still high on Chauncey, and DeMarcus has been a steady player for us as well. They're both very good players. They're both gonna play. So, we'll see.
Mark, how do you see, the other day Vince talked about Wendell came in and wanted a permanent spot, he wanted all his teammates to know it just wasn't handed to him. How do you see him kind of embrace being the face of the program, all the pressure that comes around coming home?
He does that every day as far as, doesn't say boo, as far as like he works hard, he puts his head down, he works at his craft every day. And you've heard me talk about that over the years with different players. Everybody finds their voice at different times. I'm sure he will be, use his voice when he needs to at times and has. But he leads heavily by example as well, being a new guy coming in here, and he works very hard every day and really gets better and improves. It's amazing to see him, the way he's sharpened his skill at wide receiver. We all know he's a talented guy with the ball in his hand, but he's really developing into a great wide receiver. He's very talented, but I love his work ethic.
Mark, we see you as a tough, hard-nosed, boring football coach. He's next man up, roll up the sleeves,
Who says that?
get back to work. With all the emphasis on the mental health of student athletes nowadays, how has your approach to dealing with your players' emotional health changed? Are you softer now than you were when you first started?
No, I wouldn't say much has changed in that regard. I think I think, it's in vogue now to be, relatable to players. I've never shied away from that. I've always been that way. You could go back however many years I've been doing, a long time, 20-some years, and it's who I am. I believe in relationships. I believe in being close to your players. But, when you make those deposits, you can take it out when you need to be forceful. Because they trust you. They know you believe in them, and when I'm hard on them, they know it's for a reason. So it's just always been the way I've been. I don't feel like I've changed much other than the fact that you do naturally change year in and year out, just with trying to improve, trying to work on blind spots, trying to be better in any ways you can. Other than that, I don't feel like my total approach has changed.
Mark, at the risk of throwing someone under the bus, how pleased are you with how your freshmen have come along, and who has impressed you the most?
Yeah, I think, the freshman class in general, what I like about them is we just feel like they're all gonna be good players. When you recruit that many players, when you bring them in, you maybe have one or two that you feel like are far behind, and that's not really the case. This group is solid top to bottom. Gonna be really good players. Some guys are gonna help us, sooner than others. But very good, very talented. And, Jagger had an opportunity to run some with the ones, and I was happy to see that, because sometimes when you're communicating and you're with older guys, it brings you along faster. And especially when you play inside there, like I told you before, the closer you get to that ball, the faster things happen. You play center and you play guard, things happen quick, man. There's movement, there's a lot of things going on very, very quickly. And that sometimes could take some time. Tackle, the further you get away from the football, it's still very hard and skilled. You gotta be very skilled to do it. But sometimes mentally it's a little easier approach. And so, Jagger's a guy that's really come along, and all the other guys we've been talking about, done well.
Mark, would you talk about the funding part of your, special teams? Talk about it.
Yeah, Wilson's been a little bit dinged up with his back, but he's, he'll be back out there today, and, hopefully he'll be, hitting the ball well, but Matt's been around for a while, so Chance will continue to do the kickoffs. And, Zach will still be the kickoff return guy, and punt return, will rotate, both of those guys are very good, with, obviously Wandell and Josh are both really good return guys.
Mark, what have you learned about Liam from working with him that maybe you weren't aware of when you hired him?
Well, I don't know what I've learned. I mean, good question there. Let me be a little more direct. Quit bouncing around there. I think, one thing would be, I appreciate his relationship, the way he communicates with the players. I really like that. I really like his energy. He's very believable. He's very positive. Players relate to him, and that breeds confidence, within the offensive room.
Is the run game, we've talked a lot about throwing the ball and everything this offseason, but what does that look like? Well, what are you expecting that to look like compared to past year? I mean, we've obviously gotten used to seeing you guys run the ball really well, but you won't play, how will that make it look different,
You want to just forward this? It'll look a little different. I think anybody knows. I mean, they know what his system is. They know what it's going to be. I mean, obviously, we'll run the ball a little differently. We were, if you look conceptually, we are a very tight football team, very tight. Tight. Inside zone, split zone, power, counter. There'll be some things. We'll run outside zone for the first time, so that'll be different in some other ways. But that's basic. But they should know that.
Mark, when Will got here, he said he wanted to work on leadership qualities and relationships.
Pardon me?
When Will got here, he said
Mhm.
a couple things he needed to work on were leadership and building relationships with his coaches, something
Mhm.
he didn't do at Penn State. What have you seen from him in that area?
I've just seen a strong leader, a strong presence. Again, he's very authentic, what you really like about him, and he works at it. He's in there a lot. He's in there watching film. You know, a few times this summer when we've had recruits on campus, or he happened to pop in my office, and just watching him interact with other people, watching him interact with recruits, parents, anybody. He's you know, handles himself like a grown man, and you know, so you need that out of your quarterback. You know, so he's very strong.
I know we talk a lot about the new things, but you've done this now 9 years. Do you still get the, I don't know if it's nerves, excited, jitters, whatever, do you still get that feeling going into the season opener?
Definitely. I think the opener is always a bit different. You've probably heard me say that for 9 years, but it's true. I think the opener is different because, you know, there's a lot of anticipation. There's a long time. Again, you know, you don't know, you know, you have a good feeling what your team is. You know, you work with them every day and you know them, but until you get out there and do it, you know, then it settles you down. You gotta have a better idea. You know, where do we need to work on? You know, what things are we doing good? Let's build on the good things. Let's improve on the other things. And you get caught in the moment of getting better. You know, once you start. Early on, we've been going at this, you know, for a long camp, and you're kind of anxious, and you just kind of want to see what your team really is. So those nerves are the anticipation, I'd say, more than nerves, you know, are always there. I think I'm very excited. You know, I've said this before. I think, you know, to me, you know, it feels new. It feels like year one. You know, I don't know. Maybe you know, and you know, I guess it's maybe with a lot of the changes that I've had, you know, a lot of changes in the offense or in the office in general, you know, and I think, you know, for me, it's just an exciting time.
Mark, you talk about being concerned players trying to do too much that first game. Do coaches have to be
Oh yeah,
careful not to do?
no question. There's always a fine line with coaches of too much or too little. You know what I mean? It's again, you heard me say this, but it's true. It's not about what we know. You know, it's about what they know, and what they can do. You know, we can stay up there all night, you know, and work all night and come up with all kind of creative things. But can they do it? You know, can they execute it? And there's always a concern of too much, too little. And what can they handle? What can they do? And you know, let's execute. You know, if I've been boring, thank you. You know, there's one thing, you know, you can't beat anybody until you stop beating yourself. You know, you can't beat, you know, and so the bottom line is winning. You know, so, you know, things that look pretty and fancy are good for writing about. Winning football games is another thing, you know, and so.
You have a feel for how much they can handle at this point?
Yeah, we do.
Mark kind of play off of that, you're too much.
Pardon me?
To play off of your too much, too soon thing. When you've got a new quarterback, obviously looking to impress the first time out, big arm, is there any concern there with, you know, him being too amped? And
Absolutely, but I have confidence in him. You know, again, he's mature. You know, he'll be coached well, and I have confidence in him. You know, again, first, you know, I've said it before, so I'm sure they're listening to our press conferences. But I mean, first time he went in that stadium, he threw a bomb for a touchdown. That doesn't mean that's going to be play one, but you know, I'm sure. You know, I'm a defensive coach. You know what I mean? So I know when I'm playing people like that, I'm telling the whole defense that it's coming. You know what I mean? There's going to be shots, 1, 2, or 3. You know what I mean? And so for us, we're going to be, you know, we're going to be who we are. But we've done that in the past too. You know, it doesn't mean we've always hit them. You know what I mean? But you know, we definitely want to be balanced, but we want to attack as well.
Mark, you ever talked about having to say "whoa" as opposed to "giddy up"? Do you find yourself telling yourself that you need to say whoa as opposed to
No,
getting up?
no, I don't need to tell myself that, I'm very boring. So, no, I really don't worry about that about myself,
Or the other coaches?
I have many issues that you all know about, but being boring isn't one of them, it's easy for me. No, so, I was trying to stay disciplined and not be ourselves and win the football game. But I tell you, I'm adamant about getting better and pushing this program forward. So that's gonna go through some peaks and valleys, it's gonna go through some peaks and valleys, but we're gonna get better.
Keith?
Do you feel a sense of normalcy with the non-conference schedule like last year when you opened up to the SEC?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
In what way?
Well, why don't you try being the head coach and pick up that? Tell me how you feel. Very different. I mean, our league, I don't need to say anymore. Other Power 5 leagues, take a look at it top to bottom and look at ours. There's a difference.
Mark, Nasir Watkins is a guy who played a lot for you before he got hurt.
Yeah.
Is he back to 100%? Or the practice we were at looked like he was maybe.
He's back to 100%, he's getting there, he's suspended for the first 4 games.
Coach, what about Terry? Do you consider him the chip off the old block? How much like his dad is he?
Pardon me?
How much like his dad is he?
Who's that? Who you
Terry Bowden.
I don't know, I really don't know Terry that well personally, but when I have been around him, he seems a lot like his dad, very charismatic, and fun to be around, and just a guy that has really done things right for a long time, so.
Mark, what's JJ Weaver's status?
He's getting better. He's been out there. I think he's getting close. He has practiced without a red jersey on, so that tells you, to us, he's full go. But that doesn't mean he's at 100%. So he's got to continue to really get confidence in himself and get some plays under his belt. So we'll see. We'll bring him along.
Okay, folks, thank you very much. Appreciate it.